Hello everyone, and welcome to my presentation on needs assessment analysis. In this presentation, I will analyze the EduCore dynamics case study using Gilberts behavior engineering model, or BEM, as a framework for diagnosing the organization's performance challenges. Throughout this presentation, I will explain why Gilberts' model is the most appropriate needs assessment model for this case, identify the root causes of EduCore's performance issues, and determine whether those issues require training. Non-training interventions might also be a part of this analysis, or a combination of both. I will also compare Gilberts' model with another needs assessment model, discuss its strengths and limitations, and conclude with evidence-based recommendations to improve organizational performance. So let's begin by taking a closer look at Gilberts' behavior engineering model and its role in the needs assessment. Today's presentation analyzes EduCore dynamics using Gilberts' behavior engineering model. Rather than immediately recommending training, Gilberts' model examines whether performance problems originate from the work environment or from employees' capabilities. The systematic approach helps organizations identify the real causes of performance gaps and recommend appropriate instructional and non-instructional interventions. I selected Gilberts' behavioral engineering model because it examines performance from a broader perspective rather than assuming training is the only solution. At EduCore, the organization is experiencing missed deadlines, poor communication, low morale, software confusion, and quality issues. These challenges point to multiple underlying causes, not a single training gap. Gilberts' model evaluates both environmental factors, including information, resources, and incentives, and also individual capabilities such as knowledge, capacity, and motivation. By examining these 6 areas, the model helps identify the true root causes of performance problems. This comprehensive approach made Gilberts' BEM the best choice for analyzing the EduCore case base because it supports recommendations that improve both employee performance and the organizational systems that it influences. Gilberts' behavioral engineering model is a performance analysis framework developed by Thomas Gilbert. Rather than assuming poor performance is caused by employees, the model examines 6 factors that influence workplace performance. The first 3 factors focus on the work environment, whether employees have clear expectations and feedback, the necessary tools and resources, and incentives that reinforce successful performance. The remaining 3 factors examine the individual, including their knowledge and skills, their capacity or ability to perform the work, and their motivation to do so. This model is especially valuable because it encourages organizations to identify systematic issues before concluding that additional training is needed. For the EduCore Dynamics case study, BEM provides a structured approach for uncovering the root causes of the organization's performance challenges. The environmental factors identified through Gilberts' behavioral engineering model are information, instruments, and incentives. Together, these factors help explain why EduCore's dynamics is experiencing performance challenges. First, the information. Under information, employees are disconnected from the organizational goals. Communication is unclear, and brand requirements are misunderstood. Second, the instruments. Category reveals problems with the system and processes employees rely on every day. Staff experience confusion with task sync, duplicate work, inconsistent tagging practices, and inefficient workflows. These issues suggest that employees lack the tools and standardized processing needed to perform efficiently. And finally, under incentives, the evidence points to low morale and poor communication. Also with that is the employee engagement. When employees receive limited recognition, feedback, or organizational support, motivation declines, making it more difficult to sustain high levels of performance. Based on Gilberts' model, these findings demonstrate that many of EduCore's performance problems originate from the work environment rather than from employees' capabilities. Before investing in additional training, the organization should first clarify expectations, improve workflows and tools, and strengthen the systems that motivate and support employee performance. After evaluating environmental factors, Gilberts' model also examines the individual factors that influence performance, which is knowledge, capacity, and motivation. The analysis suggests that some employees would benefit from additional training on task sync, standardized workflows, and brand consistency. These are legitimate knowledge gaps that training can address. However, employees also face capacity challenges, including heavy workloads, tight deadlines, and the need to coordinate across multiple departments. These issues limit performance even when employees have the necessary skills. Finally, the evidence shows that motivation is affected by organizational factors rather than employee attitude, with 41% of employees feeling disconnected from project goals and many reported communication frustrations. Improving leadership, communication, and employee engagement will be essential. Overall, Gilberts' model shows that improving performance requires more than training. It also requires addressing workload, communication, organization, support to help the employee succeed. So based on the case analysis, there are several areas where training is appropriate. Employees would benefit from additional instruction on using the task sync software, understanding the EduCore's brand standards, applying the project management best practices, and improving cross-functional communication. However, the analysis also identified several non-training needs. Employees are working within inefficient systems that include unclear roles, inconsistent workflows, overly complex project templates, non-standardized tagging practices, and duplicate data. Finally, there are the broader organizational needs that leadership must address. Workload distribution should be reviewed to ensure responsibilities are balanced. Communication from leadership should be more consistent and transparent, and employees need regular performance feedback to reinforce expectations and support continuous improvement. Overall, Gilberts' model demonstrates that EduCore's performance challenges are required a combination of training, process improvement, and organizational changes. Gilberts' BEM examines both environmental factors such as information, resources, and incentives, and individual factors including knowledge, capacity, and motivation. This makes it possible to identify causes of performance issues rather than assuming the problem is related to employee skills alone. By comparison, Harless's front-end analysis is primarily designed to determine whether training is an appropriate solution. While it is an effective model for making that distinction, it does not examine environmental and motivational factors as comprehensively as Gilberts' BEM. For these reasons, Gilberts' behavioral engineering model was the better choice for this analysis. It provided more complete diagnosis of the EduCore's performance challenges and supported recommendations that address both training needs and organizational improvements. Gilberts' behavioral engineering model has several important strengths. It provides a systematic way to diagnose performance problems by examining both environmental and individual factors. This helps organizations identify root causes, avoid unnecessary training, and focus on meaningful performance improvements. The model also has limitations. It identifies performance gaps, but does not explain how to implement solutions. It also requires thorough data collection and does not prioritize which interventions should be addressed first. Overall, Gilberts BEM was the best choice for the EduCore Dynamics case because it provided a comprehensive diagnosis of both training and non-training needs, leading to more effective recommendations. Based on the findings from Gilbert's behavioral engineering model, I recommend a combination of immediate actions, targeting training and organizational improvements. First, EduCore should standardize task sync templates, eliminate duplicate workflows, and clearly define project responsibilities to improve consistency and efficiency. Second, targeted training should focus on task sync onboarding, brand standards, and communication skills to strengthen employee knowledge and collaboration. Finally, leadership should support these efforts by providing regular feedback, setting clear project goals, improving workload distribution, and recognizing employee contributions. Together, these recommendations are expected to reduce project delays, improve the quality of work, increase employee morale, and create a more efficient and collaborative work environment. In conclusion, Gilbert's behavioral engineering model demonstrates that EduCore's performance challenges are caused by multiple factors, not just a lack of training. The analysis identified environmental deficiencies, limited software knowledge, communication breakdowns, inefficient workflows, and motivation that is influenced by organizational systems. These findings show that training is only one part of the solution. To achieve lasting performance improvement, EduCore must first address organizational issues such as clear expectations, effective processes, and supportive leadership. Once those foundations are in place, training can be more effective. As Stefania explains, a needs assessment identifies a gap between current and desired performance. Gilbert's BEM provided a comprehensive framework for identifying that gap and developing recommendations that support long-term organizational success. Thank you for your time and attention, and I appreciate the opportunity to present this analysis to you. And before I forget, here are the references that I used for this needs analysis. Thank you.